Mukono District Police Commander James Peter Aurien reached a critical stage today with his sentencing to death by the High Court in Mukono. Aurien was arrested in 2008 after he was accused of shooting dead his wife Christina Polot at their home at the Lugazi police barracks after accusing her of infidelity. He was subsequently charged with murder but was released shortly after due to lack of adequate evidence. This had women's rights activists up in arms, and indeed police who had borne the pressure moved in on their former colleague who gave himself in after being in hiding and was almost fleeing the country. He was taken back to the courts after a key witness in the case who had disappeared was located. Now joining me in the studios tonight is Dr. Maria Nassali. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of Women Lawyers FIDA Uganda chapter, one of those women's organizations that were up in arms. It's a pleasure to have you on TV 11.
Thank you.
Now, your organization was one of the organizations that pushed for the rearrest of Aurien after he had been initially released. Obviously, today is a happy day for you, but I do know that you still have some reservations. What are those?
We would like to see that these issues of domestic violence is taken on as a serious issue irrespective of who the victim is or who the suspect is. There are a number of cases that are reported. I know Sedovic did a study that counted the number to about 30 women who had died in their homes. So we'll call upon government to ensure that those remaining cases are duly prosecuted and justice delivered. Mm-hmm. We are celebrating because we are confident that now men and women can sleep in their homes, knowing that the arms of justice will take its course. Mm-hmm. Regardless of who you are. Regardless of whether there is a witness. Mm-hmm. Because the court in this particular case considered collaborative evidence that surely pointed to the fact that there were two individuals in the house, and definitely one of them died and one was trained in arms, and it could not have overpowered, and there was another witness. However, as a human rights organization, we are against the death penalty. So we would like to have the death penalty commuted to life sentence. And you never know, perhaps Aurien himself can become an activist against violence against women.
Mm. Now, you talk of these other 30 cases of women who have died in their homes due to domestic violence. At what stage are they in terms of the legal process? Are charges being preferred against the alleged perpetrators? What stage of?
As a lawyer, I don't want to speculate. Okay. But I know that they have not been recorded for hearing. Mm. So probably the investigations are going on. All hitherto, just violence against women was considered as a trivial domestic dispute. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that's why we have to celebrate this particular case, because the judge makes it categorical that that domestic disputes should not be solved through violence. And that violence against women is a serious crime. And it is also groundbreaking that the judgment was delivered within the 16 days of activism for violence against women.
Now, if you look back to the fact that initially Aurien had been released for lack of adequate evidence, does that not also maybe put the blame or point the blame on you as legal professionals that you don't have adequate, you are not presenting your cases properly? Where was the problem there?
Unfortunately, the question shifts the blame then to civil society organizations and women's rights organizations. It is government's paramount duty to protect all its citizens from violence. So what we did as the women's rights organization is that we moved the wheels of justice into motion when they had stopped. Mm-hmm. However, we expect government, the DPP's office, the police, and the judiciary to ensure that justice is meted out for these cases, irrespective of whether it is a woman or a man. We want safe homes.
Now, as a parting shot, this is a sort of related issue. Last Thursday, Justice Catherine Bamu Gerere sentenced the murderer of a 7-year-old child to 70 years in jail. Is this an indication that judges are becoming more bolder and are meting out tougher sentences, 70 years and death today, which you are opposed to? But do you think that judges are now becoming becoming tougher?
Definitely so, but again, I would congratulate the women's movement for putting domestic violence as a public issue, as a society concerned. And therefore, the judges are living up to that expectations that they're considering violence against women, not as a trivial issue, as a dispute between two people in the home, but as something that affects the inherent dignity of any person.
Indeed. I thank you very much, Dr. Maria Nassali. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, Uganda chapter, and she's been speaking so passionately about the sentencing today of Peter Aurien to death over the murder of his wife 2 years ago. Her organization and other women's activists had an active role in addressing that issue and ensuring that justice was served. Time now to find out what tomorrow's weather has in store for us.